Hallelujah. We are home, so there's no need for introduction. I'm right very much at home. Say hello to someone next to you. Tell them I'm going to make you rich this afternoon. Go, get up and just say to them, I'm going to make you rich. I promise you, I'm going to make you rich. Hallelujah. Who doesn't like money? Who doesn't like money? If you have it, you want more. If you have it, you want to keep it. If you don't have it, you are angry. If you don't have it, you are frustrated. If you don't have it, you are bitchy. If you don't have it, you gossip. If you don't have it, you say just about it. Who doesn't want money? I need money. I need money. Nimi, I need money. You have to make me rich. This afternoon, you've got to make me rich. Today, we decided to look at the continuation of the things we've been studying, relationships, money matters. It's not all right for any one of us to be poor and idle. I just want to give you a background, just 5 minutes. God created work. God never created idleness. So the church of God is not a place or a jumping ground for those who refuse to work. It's not the place or a jumping ground for beggars. When you come in contact with the Lord Jesus Christ, He enjoins you to work. The Lord God Almighty in Genesis says, go and till the ground. That was the command He gave to Adam. No Christian has a business begging. We may want more. We may need more. And truthfully so too. Some people, maybe you married early, you never worked, your husband provided, and then you become widow. It will take a while for you to stabilize, but you must get to work. The Bible tells me it gives you power to make wealth. It does not want the sanctuary or the body of Christ to be filled with idle women. Humanity has been assigned the task of work. And it is today that we as Christian women, handmaidens of the Lord, are going to learn how to work. How to put our money to work for us. My question to Yimika was that if I have 1 million or 2 million and I don't know what to do with it, that's all I have. And honestly, some of us don't know what to do with it. Am I right? You just feel it's not enough to do anything. That I need 100 million. But today, someone is going to teach us how to put our 1 million, our 100,000, our 10,000 to work for us. Listen attentively. God will bless you. And as I'm going to sit down. So I'm going to encourage you, for those who have, stop being stingy. Stop being stingy. Am I talking to somebody? For those who don't have, stop being busybodies. Paul needed to address this in 2 Thessalonians chapter 3, verse 10. The church had the same problem as far back as then. But today, we are going to dream big dreams for you. Are you with me? Now, tell 10 people. We are going to, wait, don't stand up yet. I'm going to dream big dreams for you. And I'm going to ensure that those dreams come to pass. As I sat with Nimi, she said, I can't believe it. I see so many women on a Wednesday afternoon in church. And I said, we've been doing this for 22 years. And may I tell you, we preached a message on mentoring at the earlier on in the 22 years, which made your sister-in-law, Kofo, rich. She was given a mentor. Who mentored Kofo? If you are here, please stand. If you are here, please stand. Or else I will raise up my hand. Stand. Does Kofo remember her mentor? Yes. That was how she started. She left Chartered Bank and started her own business. And we're proud to be associated with her. And we have many success stories in here. So we're going to dream big dreams. And before I hand over the mic to her, we have decided that today, in celebration of Women's Day tomorrow, at International Women's Day, the theme is Press for Progress. Press for Progress. The Arise team. Where are the Arise ladies? This is what we do best. We are going to empower 20 women to start off with stop making. I want to see those who are telling me they don't have money at all. I want to see you after service today. Come downstairs. Then, join our campaign. We are going to empower 5 women at different stages, but starting with 5, with 100,000 to start a business. But we are going to monitor you. Are you ready? Are you ready? Hug somebody and say, I'm going to dream big for you. I'm going to dream big for you. We dreamt big. 20 years ago, we dreamt so big. And we are standing and standing tall and standing strong. Accomplished better than we were those 22 years ago. My sister Nimi, you are welcome.
Good afternoon, ladies. I'm just overwhelmed to be in your presence today. I'm just so excited of the things that I do. The things that I get the most fulfillment with is spending time with women. I think we are just great. I don't even know how you could have left your offices on a Wednesday up. What did you tell for the young ladies, what did you tell your bosses? Well, even if I don't make you rich today, I hope I can enrich your lives. Amen. So today we're talking about money. Let me know if you see yourself in any of these situations. Are you in your 20s? You just started out in your career or business? Are you 32, thinking of getting married or just got married? Are you in your 40s? Earning quite a bit, but it just disappears? I got a murmur from that. You got married at 45, quite late, and it looks like you're going to be educating children in your 60s? Are you a super single mom trying to build a fantastic life for your children and yourself? Are you 55? You just lost your job and you have no savings and no investments? Are you 60 and you can't afford to retire? Are you middle-aged and single and all the extended family burdens are put on your head? Some people are nodding. Are you a super gran and you're supporting your children and your grandchildren? Are you the primary breadwinner in your family? Are you embarking on a late-in-life marriage with all the baggage that comes with it? Are you divorced and trying to pick up the financial pieces of your life? Have you lost him? Are you widowed? You're all so welcome here because we're going to touch on all these different areas that impact women in so many different ways. We all walk around looking so glamorous, but every single one has some challenge or the other. What we have to do is try to reduce those challenges by sharing and mentoring each other and not feeling so pressured. Yesterday there was a wonderful article with Ariana Huffington, someone that I monitor. And she was at the Oscars, and there was a lady at the Oscars in an incredible white dress. And she had worn that dress to the Oscars, she'd worn it to a premiere last year, and she'd worn it to open an event. And I just thought to myself, my goodness, I was almost going to go and buy an outfit to wear for this event today. You're under so much pressure because it's been seen and you're keeping up with everybody else. So now she said we all can repeat. So I'm joining the repeat club. So I've worn this about 10 times and I'm happy to wear it again today. Do you like my repeat? Okay, so let's get started. Where do I point? I just point to my laptop. Okay, did it change? Okay, great. Okay, so let's say you're starting out, you're in your 20s. How many of you are in your 20s? How many of you are living at home? Free of charge, free food, free diesel, free data. How many of you? This is a fantastic opportunity for you. You can afford to save. If you're earning and you have few responsibilities, this is the time. Now, for young ladies, African women, you're under a lot of pressure to get married. Your choice of spouse is the single most important decision you will ever make in your life. Please don't make a mistake. I've been to too many weddings recently in the last 2 years, and then I hear they've broken up. It's quite catastrophic. We're going to have a higher divorce rate in Africa if we continue like this. So what is going wrong? We're getting married for the wrong reasons. Please, there's no pressure. Don't just marry somebody because you turned 26 or you're almost 30. Please don't do it. You need someone that encourages you, that respects you, that lifts you up, motivates you. Don't do it just because society said so. It's a great time to be building your career. Don't mess around at work. Every single day counts. You don't have to like your job. You don't have to like your job. You don't leave a job because you didn't like it. There are no jobs. Okay, so don't let anyone tell you, oh, you must find your passion today. You will find your passion, but it may not be today. You need to be earning. And even the bad experiences, a job you don't like, is giving you incredible fodder. It's giving you experience. It's giving you so much knowledge about how to work in an environment that you may not like. Every day, keep learning. It's time to establish a firm foundation for your future. Start budgeting, start saving. What you have is priceless. The gift of time. You have the gift of time. Don't waste your time, because time, once it goes, never comes back in your 20s. In your 30s, you should be focused on your goals and your career. Maybe you've got a young family, you got married. What's happening? It's time to start to build. You're in an established job and you're in the midst of raising children. Critical time. You have to make the time, no matter how busy your job is. Don't delegate. Don't delegate total responsibility for raising your kids to somebody else. It comes back to haunt you if you don't raise well-balanced, well-adjusted, disciplined children. It really matters. I was on a flight recently and there were 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds, all in first class. It matters. It doesn't matter how much you have. If you spoil your children, it comes back to haunt you in your 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So what you do in your 30s really, really matters. Your growth, your career, childcare, education, all those things matter. There's this myth that your mother-in-law is the Wicked Witch of the East. My mother-in-law is my critical success factor, next to God almost. She's absolutely incredible. It matters. If you go into marriage thinking your mother-in-law is going to be a nasty person, you're going to behave accordingly. But if you're able to be the best daughter-in-law that you can be, she loves her son and she loves her grandchildren. Of course there are exceptions, but your attitude has a lot to do with what happens with your mother-in-law. So please be careful about that. In your 30s also, property. You need to get on the property ladder. Don't wait till you're 40 or 50 to get property. It's in your 20s and 30s. Start to build, start to buy land. It doesn't need to be in Echo Atlantic City or Banana Island. Just get some land. Get the documents and just get started. Your 40s are critical. The foundation that you lay in your 40s has a huge impact for what happens in your 60s, in your 70s. So don't waste your 40s. Many people are earning at their highest if they're in a career. In their 40s, they're earning quite a bit of money. This is the time to try to invest aggressively and save. Of course, we all know that as you save and invest, as you increase your income, you spend more money. You know, you get a bonus or a salary increase, you tend to increase your spending. That's just the way things are. But just bear it in mind, this is a critical time for your long-term success. In your 50s, look what makeup can do in your 50s. That was at my last son's graduation, yes. You need to own your own home. You have to, at this time, you should really have assets, okay? Children are completing their education if you got married in your 20s or early 30s. If you didn't and you got married in your 40s or 50s, they're still quite young, of course. You've got to start thinking of life after the corporate world. Some of you are in fantastic careers with major businesses. You can actually start feeling like you're the Queen of Sheba, and you're living large. I mean, I was getting free tickets. I think with Barclays, I was traveling almost every month. They change your car every 4 years and buy you a new car. You're going business class the whole time. You live a false life. It is false. So be very careful for the corporate women. Those golden handcuffs are very, very real. You need to be careful because when you step out, because you want to, or you're laid off, or you want to do something else, it can be extremely difficult. So it's so important that you're saving and investing very, very aggressively. You have to start thinking of your retirement, thinking of your mortality, your estate. Many people have aging parents, and many of the parents did not plan for their own retirement. So you're looking after expensive children and expensive parents who may not have medical insurance. This is why your 40s is so important. And then after you've done all the saving and investing, you forgot to save for the weddings. So you have these weddings coming up as well. Sorry, in the 20s, please don't forget, you need to focus on the marriage, not the wedding. For those in their 20s, we spend a lot of money on weddings, and then the couple is broke afterwards if the parents didn't finance it. Or the parents financed it, and then the parents are broke in their retirement. So please, let's be careful how we do that focus. And in your 60s, the investments that you've been making in your 20s and 30s and 40s should be bearing fruit by your 60s. You should be getting interest from your deposits, dividends from your stock, rent from your property. Your retirement plan should be in full swing. I know there are many of you here where you haven't done any of this. The truth is better late than never, and that is exactly why we're here today. And in your 70s, if your health is right, you still may have 20, 30 years of life. You know, your children, we all love our children, they love us back, but don't rely on your children as your retirement plan. You can't do that because it might backfire so badly. It's so important. Let your children assist you because they want to and they can, not because you are totally broke. That's the worst thing you can be. To have 20 years when you're broke, your standard of living plummets, you can't travel, you can't do anything. That's not where we want to be. And of course, in your 80s and more, this was my mother-in-law's 90th birthday. She's an absolute superstar. So now she is, I mean, incredible, absolutely incredible lady. So she's enjoying us, she's enjoying her grandchildren, she's enjoying engaging in philanthropy. She's just doing exactly as she pleases. She's just having a wonderful time. You were at her birthday party. I mean, we had to actually physically say, you actually have to leave this party now. She wasn't ready to go. Okay, so look at your financial planning life cycle. Can you see where your income is going up? In your 20s, 30s, 40s, in your 50s, you can see that it's tapered. 60s, 70s. So if it has tapered in your 50s, what is going to happen to those 30 years? That's what we've got to address. So I've found in my experience of over 25 years in banking, wealth management, and so on, that women don't achieve as well as they should with their money. We're so much more tentative. We have a deep-rooted concern for other people. We're the last people that we think about. We're nurturing others and not giving enough attention to our own finances. Far too many women now are primary breadwinners. That's something that we weren't used to. So it's something that the church has to address, because I'm not sure what has happened. Has it always been like this, or it wasn't? Okay. So there's something wrong. Why, women are being the primary breadwinners. And that comes with a huge challenge, the challenge of submission. So I've talked to a lot of young women who are having great difficulty being able to submit or respect because they're calling all the shots. Then there's peer pressure. We are guilty of falling prey to peer pressure. We live longer and we tend to procrastinate. So whether you're here today, single, married, divorced, widowed, you need to take charge of your financial life. You cannot delegate this to anyone else. The Proverbs 31, I call her a superwoman. It's quite extraordinary how this role model of thousands of years ago could have achieved so much with her financial life. She's a wife, a mother, a career woman, an entrepreneur, an investor, a philanthropist, and is God-fearing. Look what she says there. Yes, darling, I just picked up our son from the creche. My goods have arrived at the port. Come home soon, dinner is ready. Who does that? Who does that? That's what we're expected to do, right? Okay, so let's very quickly run through these 10 areas. Setting goals, budgeting, debt, emergency fund, investing, the family, your health is your wealth, retirement, death, and philanthropy. Going back to her, she had no fear for her household, for all of them are clothed in scarlet. She planned ahead. She always planned ahead for a rainy day. She was organized. Are we organized? Do we plan ahead? What are your plans for the next 1 year, for the next 3 years, for the next 5 years? Are you renting and you want to move into your own home? What have you done about it? Have you found land? Have you found property somewhere? Have you thought of getting a mortgage? Have you saved for a deposit? You can't just say you want to move into your own home without taking concrete steps. We've all heard about specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound goals. Your goals must be deliberate. We have to be intentional. Why is this important? Because if you don't get started, by the end, when you aren't working, when you can't work or you don't wish to work, you won't have any resources. So look at your financial situation today. Many of you work for companies or have your own business, and you have a balance sheet for your business. Do you have a personal balance sheet? How many people have ever created a personal balance sheet? Hardly anyone. Great. You need to have a personal balance sheet. What are your assets? Do you know how much you have? How much do you have in the bank? Or do you have 10 different bank accounts so you don't know how much is in each one? Close them all, leave only 2. Do you have stocks? Do you have bonds? What do you have? Your jewelry is not going to save you. It's not. We all like jewelry. Please just wear it before someone steals it. Wear it. Even if you melt the gold, you will never get what you paid for it. Because there's a design cost, there's rent, there's air conditioning, there's so many things. So don't put jewelry as your primary asset, okay? Then your liabilities. Do you have a mortgage? Do you have a car loan? Where's all your money going? Take away your liabilities from your assets and decide what is your net worth. You need to know what your net worth is. Another way of seeing where you are is how much money is coming in and how much is going out. That is the scary part. Sometimes you don't even know where the money goes. I took out 30,000 naira on Friday. On Sunday morning, I just thought somebody must have stolen my money. There's no way. I mean, I couldn't even remember. I could account for about 20. The rest had just gone. If you write everything down for a month, 30 days, write every single thing down, you'll be amazed what comes out of it. Just things that you weren't expecting that you've been overspending on. It's really, really important to know. I tell people that up to 2017, for about 4 years, I kept getting a birthday cake from a major telco. Why would you get a birthday cake from a telco? So I was feeling very cool with myself. They said I was a gold account holder. So I felt like a really big girl, you know, getting this cake from the telco. My money was just going to them. I was talking on the phone and data. Can you imagine? So when I realized half my income was literally going on phone bills, and I stopped. Now I don't spend a penny. WhatsApp, FaceTime, texting. What else is there? Skype. And I got no cake this year. So you need to know where your money is going. You work so hard for it. What are your needs? What do you need? We have to pay school fees. You need your mortgage, your rent, your car payments. You do need to go on holiday, but it has to be an affordable holiday. What are your wants? I'm a bag lady, so I do want a handbag. Ashoebi, great thing to do, but must you do it every single weekend? No. It just adds up. You'll be shocked. It sounds like it's okay, 10, 20. There was one that I went, it was a close friend, so I thought, okay, let me just try. So I went to her house, 150,000. And I literally almost fainted. So I said, I refused to do it. But I took the gele, which was 20-something. 20-something. So the color was gold. So my sister and I wore the gold to the wedding. We didn't know that there were grades of food. There were grades. So they kept passing us with the A-grade food, B-grade food, and brought us the C-grade food for those who didn't wear the outfit. Yes. And then even for the doggy bag, the gift we got was a mug and a nasty mat or something, and other people got some great stuff. But I saved 150,000 naira. I didn't mind at all. Yeah, so don't get caught up. Don't get caught up in that. Maybe your close friends, close family, but don't feel pressured. It really adds up, you know? And then you have this stash of fabric in your cupboard that you never wear, you don't like it even, you know? So please be careful, all of us. Don't get pushed into doing things you can't afford. You know, you can't really understand other people's journey. So if you see people traveling on business class all the time or buying designer bags, you don't actually know what it's taken to get that. But if you have a plan, like what is lovely is when you have a plan, like now I have a plan to buy some land in a particular area. So I'm just totally focused on it. It gives you focus. So I don't care if somebody is carrying the bag that I've been dying for all this time, because I want to get that, and I know that I'll eventually work towards it. How many of you budget? Just a few of us. Great. Have you ever gone to spa without a shopping list? And then you go from one aisle, And you buy everything that you didn't go for. These are some budgeting tips that are so important. Sorry, I'll just go back to that. A budget is important. It helps to tell you where your money is going, where it comes from and where it's going. If you go to our website, Money Matters with Nimi, there's a very easy budget there. If you're very techie, you can download a budget app, but otherwise this is an easy Excel spreadsheet. It's got everything you need on it. And look at our favorite lady. She's prudent. She's like the merchant ships bringing her food from far. She goes far and wide to bring her goods home. It's so important. I'm sure everybody here tithes. Who tithes here? Everyone. So can you, after tithing, take another 10% aside for yourself? Can you? For the ladies living at home or the ladies who don't have too many responsibilities, you can do more than 10%. It's called paying yourself first, setting aside some money for yourself. Now, don't wait till the end of the month. There'll be nothing left. You should do it at the beginning, as soon as you get your salary. So what I do is I have a direct debit from my account. So it's automatic. I don't even see it. You determine an amount of money that doesn't touch you, that you can afford to set aside if you've got an income. I know some people don't have an income right now. Set that aside automatically. When you automate your finances, it's fantastic because it was effortless, totally effortless spending. Don't shop with friends who are richer than you. I don't know what happens, but when you do, you try to keep up. You try to keep up. You go out with a rich friend, goodness gracious. I don't know what it is. You're trying to pose or whatever, so you'll be buying the jewelry she's buying, or I don't know what it is with us. Just find your level, find friends that you can shop with. Many of you may have housing up front, or you might have a bonus, and you actually know when it's coming. Is that correct? Plan for it before it arrives. Because if you don't, it just goes. But if you plan ahead and you know you're expecting some housing money and you already live in your own house, then that's a fantastic opportunity to save and invest. Build in some fun. Saving and investing should not be all about suffering and being too frugal. Enjoy yourself. If it's that you want to go to a spa, then put that in your budget. Okay, so if I'm a bag person, I love my garden, so I have part of it in my budget, so that every so often I can get what I want. Okay, so don't make it all miserable. Where does your money go? You must know where it goes. Debt. How many people are in debt here? Now, is it good debt or bad debt? Did you borrow to buy jewelry? Did you borrow to buy clothes? Did you borrow to go on holiday? So what did you borrow for? Business. Great. So borrowing for your business is fine, but that is only if you actually did a business plan. You can't just be borrowing for your business if you don't even know what your business is going to. You have to have, if you have a serious business, you need a business plan where you have checked whether this business is actually viable or not. 95% of businesses will fail in 2 years. 2 years. And a lot of it is to do with borrowing for my business without actually carefully checking what that money is going for in the business. Be very careful about borrowing. So borrowing for education, for your business, borrowing to buy a house is good debt. But don't borrow for things that don't have real value. Now, something else about borrowing that is very important is borrowing from friends and family and not paying it back. You have to pay it back. And if you keep not paying people back, they get to know who you are and nobody will lend to you. And I was a banker for so long, it's very difficult for banks to lend to small businesses. They don't. So you do need this friends and family money. And it's free. It's usually interest-free. So don't abuse it. So if you're one of the people that has borrowed from somebody and you see them and you start going through the back door or you take them off your WhatsApp number start dodging their phone calls, please, after today, call them. Apologize. You know, you'll be surprised. Most of them will say, okay, they'll write off part of it because they'll be so shocked that you're calling after you deleted them from your number a few months ago. It's really true. Please, we need debt. We need to be able to borrow, so don't abuse debt. And if you've borrowed from a bank, don't shred that letter. You must reply. We will come and seize your house and your car, literally with you in it. You cannot wish away your debt. You have to face it. You will have to sell assets. You may have to work a second job, but don't just think debt is going to go away. It just mounts. The way you have compound interest that's making you richer, paying interest on interest, is the same way debt works. It will just make you poorer and poorer and poorer. And to the young people, before you get married, you must have this money conversation. I've seen too many young people who've got married and then found the person is bankrupt with debt, but he was coming to take her out in a Range Rover and living in a house in VI. Be careful. You must ask these questions. You have to talk about money with your partner. We need savings. But don't keep all your money in a savings account. It doesn't earn anything. It just about keeps pace with inflation. And in fact, many banks will give you 7%. Meanwhile, treasury bills are 15%. So you're just being ripped off the whole time, which is why you're here, which is why you have to take some responsibility for your finances. If you come to me, I'm a banker, you don't know anything, I can offer you 3% on your life savings. But you don't know that you could get so much better. So you do need to take some responsibility. We all need an emergency fund. I was just told a few weeks ago that my car needs 2 new tires. It's a nightmare because that's going to be nearly 100,000. So if I did not have some money set aside, I would have to sell shares or borrow. You don't want to do that. So you need to have some money that is already set aside to pay for emergencies. We recommend between 6 to 12 months of your expenses. Remember I talked about tracking your expenses for a month, so you know what your outgoings are every month. You need 6 to 12 months of that set aside in a money market account, just for emergencies. Things happen. You want to be careful and ensure that you're covered. Then we go to investing. Investing in yourself is the greatest investment of all, which is why I was so delighted that so many of you are here today. We have to invest in ourselves. Who are you? What are you good at? What are you passionate about? I'd just like to hear from 3 people. I want to know what work you do, and then what your God-given talent is, and if you are actually using it and monetizing it, because you've been given a free gift. Nobody can ever pay us enough. It's not possible. So we're all going to have to use some of the things that we're good at. Who has a talent that they're not using? Yes. Can you shout out? You're a beautician. What do you do full time? Okay.
For the meantime, sometime if my friend, they have wedding, they will invite me to come and make their hair and do makeup.
And you don't charge? You've got to start charging. Do you have a full-time job?
No, I just got a shop. I don't have.
Okay, so you've got to.
That's
great. Give her a round of applause. It's good that you're doing that, but at some point you've got to monetize it. Sometimes it's very difficult to do that and charge friends. Friends never want to pay. So, but if you do it well, other people will get to see it and you start. Who has another skill or talent that they haven't used? You do? Okay, thank you. There's somebody here.
I'm a sales rep with a pharmaceutical company, but I sing.
You sing?
Yes,
Oh,
and
wow.
I write.
And you write songs?
I write songs, I write stories.
Fantastic. So what are you doing about that? Where do you sing? Do you sing in church?
Oh, I've not joined the choir.
You haven't joined the choir.
But I sing in my house.
You sing in your house. It's time to start doing something about it. Nobody knows you're singing in your house or your bathroom, and you might have a really great voice. And for your writing, you write. What do you write?
I write stories.
Have you thought of publishing?
Yes.
Great. So it's time to find a publisher, start to know what it entails, how much it'll cost you, and just get started. Okay? Very, very good. One more person? Yes.
I'm a student, but I write poems, and then I write articles too.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Does anyone know you write poems or articles?
Yeah, my friends, then my family.
Your friends and family is very nice, but it's time for all of us to know that you write poems and articles. Okay? So do you have a blog?
No, not yet.
Great. So it's time for you to start thinking about putting them out so that we can all see your stuff, and you'll be amazed somebody's going to call you and say they like your work. Okay? Right. So you need to share your talent. You'll be amazed what happens with that. I'm a gardener, and every morning I put two pictures of my flowers on my Instagram. It's called Nimi's Garden. And a 5-star hotel called me to come and do their garden. But of course, I was too dumb at the time. I said, oh, I can't do it. If they call me now. But because of that, I'm building the capacity. So I have someone coming to me at most weekends, and we do things together. So before I was just doing my garden at home, but people are enjoying it. And now someone asked me if I have scarves and mugs, and guess what? In 6 months' time, I'll have a whole range of Nimi's Garden merchandise. Mugs, silk scarves, just name it. Just from something that I'm doing for pure pleasure. I'm a church organist in my church, but I play for free. But 3 brides have now come to me. I don't know them. Shouldn't I charge them? Why will I play? Exactly. So I'm going to start. It's not free. I've had 30 years of learning music. Why won't I charge? So please find what your talent is. You're going to play free for your family. I'll play free for churches. But if 2 Nollywood movies have come to film in my garden, I didn't charge them. How ridiculous. So I'm waiting for the next one to go. So please monetize your talent. Next slide. It's gone off. So she's talented and industrious. She stretches out her hands to the distaff and her fingers grasp the spindle. I mean, just amazing. She uses her creative talents to support her family. So can you cook? Can you bake? Can you sew? Can you sing? Are you good at IT? Can you code? What can you do? You need to develop your talent enough to increase your capacity to the point where you can earn if you feel like it. Your human capital, identify your talent, recognize it, nurture it, and utilize it. And do the same for your children. If you can identify your children's talent from the age of 3, 4, it is amazing. You start to invest in it, start to nurture it. You just give them a golden fleece, you really do. Investing for the future, you need to know how much risk you can take. The higher the risk, the higher the reward. How many of you invested in MMM? I'm glad nobody did. Please be careful, because the greater the risk, the greater the reward. I'm getting too many calls for people who want to invest in cryptocurrencies. Now, I don't even know enough about it to advise anyone, but I would suggest you're putting only money that you can afford to lose. You might want to experiment and gamble. Maybe you'll make a fortune. But when you're investing in high-risk assets, in this case, it's not even an asset. You don't know where it is or who is managing it. There's nobody. There's no recourse. I just feel more comfortable buying stocks because there's a stock exchange, putting my money in the bank because there's a central bank, getting insurance or buying property. So I'm conservative. It doesn't mean you shouldn't take high risk, but you must also be prepared to lose your money. The best thing to do is to diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's important. You cannot have all your money in stocks because you can lose it all. You can't have all your money in property. Property goes bad. I mean, almost everyone that has had successful property investments has had at least one nightmare. In fact, there was some land that my mother left us in her will. We were very bad about getting title and so on. By the time we went to the place, they chased us away with, they said if we step there, they'll bury us on the land. Yes, so you've got to be serious about these things. You've got to get title and know you actually have an asset that is of value. You must invest across borders. I love Nigeria, I'm proudly Nigerian, but you cannot have everything you own in one country. Simple. You just have to diversify. And the beauty of the world now with the social internet is you can invest across borders. You can have domiciliary accounts. You can have money in another currency so that if there's a devaluation, you also have some foreign exchange. For those that are capable, you can buy property across other countries. You don't have to have everything in one country. It doesn't have to be England, America. It can be in Africa. There are some countries doing amazing things in Africa. And you can start to explore that and expand your horizon. So invest across sectors, asset classes. So the ideal portfolio should have stocks, bonds, cash, property, business interests, and not just in Nigeria. Maybe a friend of yours has an incredible idea. You don't have the skill to assess it yourself, so you seek professional advice and try to see what is possible. When Mark Zuckerberg came to Nigeria last year or the year before, I just thought, I smell a rat. When these people come here, you know that there's some incredible things happening. So I took myself to Yaba. Unbelievable what's going on there. You have to go. These are young geniuses building tech companies that are going to be billions of naira worth. They're not looking for much money. They're looking for small amounts now. So you've got to take some risk. Maybe you'll lose some of your money, but you've got to be brave enough. This is where men do better than us. They take risk. We are so risk averse. We don't want to try those things. So invest in one of these amazing things and see what happens. Develop your knowledge as we're doing now and invest for the future. You may have seen in the papers that the Nigerian Stock Exchange was the top 3 best performing in the world in 2017. Sadly, so many of you here or everywhere were badly burnt, I don't know how many years ago, and said, I will never invest again. Terrible. You can't do that. You have to keep investing. You will win some and you will lose some. But you cannot afford to be in this part of the world here and not investing and you're getting 7% on your deposit. When some shares have gone from 10 naira to 60 naira in 6 months, under your nose. And they're not fly-by-night companies. They're serious companies that you bank with yourself. They're companies that every day on your dining table you have some of their milk or their food or whatever. They're not going anywhere. All your money is in that bank. So you know that this is a solid institution and their share price is going up and up and up and you're just sitting there because you're scared. So you won't put all your money in stock, but please put part of it. One of the best ways to do that is through mutual funds. Mutual funds. So sometimes you don't have the knowledge or the experience to choose your own stocks, but you can invest in a mutual fund which is professionally managed, and it's from as low as 5,000 naira. So you're not looking for millions. So you can decide, okay, every month from now, I'm going to invest 5,000 naira in the Nigerian stock market. You won't have to do anything about it. It's just a direct debit from your account into an asset management account. So please think about that. Investment clubs are a fantastic way to invest. And I'm just so amazed at what you're doing here with the Handmaidens that you could well think of having an investment club. This is where you have a professional. Everybody puts what they can afford into a kitty every month. It's properly managed. You get one of the major asset management companies to manage it, and then they will decide, okay, we're going to invest this money in property or in stock or in some land or something. So that when you pool funds, sometimes you can achieve more than your own tiny amount that you had by yourself. So when you have a community as strong as this, it's something worth considering. And they will look, everybody will determine what their risk tolerance is. You have, the units will be monetized. So if I put 50,000 naira and you put 1,000 naira, you will have 1 unit, I'll have 50 units. And that's the way it works. So please think about that, because an investment club is a great way to invest, especially as you're coming together every week like this. It's amazing. Real estate, it's about location. It doesn't always have to be in Lagos. If you find Lagos too expensive, have you thought of Ogun State? If you see the incredible infrastructural development in Ogun State, you can see where property prices are going. Ibadan. Have you been to, who knows Ibadan? It's being transformed. It's being transformed. You can still rent a beautiful bungalow in Bodija for 250,000 naira, which is utterly ridiculous. But if by the time the highway is done and the train, the prices are going to go up. So maybe you can't afford Lekki or Banana Island, but just get on that property ladder. You need to be investing. Maybe you come from another part of the country. Almost every capital city has property worth investing in. But you cannot sit on the sidelines, please. Real estate, there are many very dubious characters in real estate, so you do need to seek professional advice and have your title. She considers a field and buys it. From her earnings, she plants a vineyard. We don't even need a better example than this. That's what she does. So apart from working to earn a living, she invests carefully. She's reliable and dependable and watches over her family. I've talked about choosing your partner wisely. And for those who are already married, do you talk about money? Too many people are hiding away their money from their spouses. Very dangerous thing. Because you're a team. I know there are exceptions, and there are situations where I do know you have no choice. We all know that as a Christian, marriage should be based on trust and respect. But of course, if your spouse is going to squander all the money on excesses or on alcohol or gambling, you better hide it away. I'm not going to tell you, sit here and tell you you have to declare everything if you know that you'd better not. But ideally, when you work as a team, it really helps for you to meet those goals. But every woman should be able to take care of herself and her children. You have to. 90% of women will end up being on their own because women live longer. So if you delegate total responsibility to the male members of your family and you don't know anything, the number of women who have, from the funeral, came home and the property has been taken by in-laws. You know that, it happens. Then there are many, many women who are married to extremely wealthy men and they don't have 1 penny to their name. Sorry? You would, yes, because but they're dressed in all the finery, they don't repeat. They have so much, but they don't actually have anything. It's called financial abuse, and we've got to protect ourselves from that. If you own your own home, do you know if you own your own home? Where are the title documents? Do you know? Do you know if your house has been mortgaged and the bank is picking up the house next week, Friday? Do you know? Many people are just living in this state of oblivion. You don't actually know what is going on. Where are the title documents? Do you have a will? As a banker for 25 years, almost every man that opened an account, guess who was next of kin? Brother. It's not you. Brother. It's not you. Have you asked? The majority of Nigerian men put brother as next of kin. Maybe in the ancient days, the idea was that the brother will take care of the family, but it doesn't actually happen that way. You need to ask. Now, people ask me, okay, how do I bring it up? You don't want to look like you're about to kill him. That's why you're asking. So you've got to be sensitive about how to bring it up so that it's not a, if you are talking all the time and if you are saying, okay, I'm writing my own will, darling, have you written your will? Or find a way, or tell him some nightmare stories. They're always there. There's so many stories. There's a young man who put his father as next of kin. Because, no, he wasn't married. Sorry, he wasn't married then. Many people forget to they forget to change the form. So your office doesn't, when you join, they put you next of kin. They forget to bring it back to you every year. So he put father. His father has 2 wives and 12 children. And then he got married to a wonderful lady working in a top bank, and then he died in a car crash. They gave this particular bank, they look at that form, and they gave everything to the family. And his colleagues buried him. So you have to think about these things. Who are the beneficiaries? You need to know what your situation is. For single women, especially those who are planning to get married much later in life, you tend to be the person that everybody dumps everything on. You tend to be the one that you're the rich auntie. You're in your 40s or 50s, you've got a great job, great flat, you travel all the time, so your siblings will end up using you. They don't mean any harm, but you are available. You have to save for your own future, in fact, more aggressively than your siblings. So you find that more of the attention for the parents falls on the single sibling, not the married ones. Because everyone's like, free money, the rich aunt. You're so wonderful because you're just available for babysitting, traveling with children, presents and all that. Don't forget that you may be getting married later and you will be in your 60s perhaps and still have young children if you're adopting late and so on. So be careful. Don't be coerced into bearing most of the extended family burden. And then single mothers, you need life insurance. Unfortunately, alimony, child support is not enforced, sadly. We have to live with it. It'll change at some point. So you've got to know that your responsibilities are huge. You need an estate plan and life insurance. Late in life marriages, another one to be careful about. You're in your 60s and you meet this wonderful man who's 72. It's nice to marry him. Is he healthy? Is he healthy? Does he have money? This is not the time of your life to start going into a relationship and then you're spending all your money on medical bills. Does he have insurance? I know it's nice to be married, but please, I've seen too many wonderful women who were established and great, but they just felt they had to get married. They had to have a companion, which is fine. Then have a prenuptial agreement. I know that Christians feel bad about it because it seems like you're tempting fate. You're wishing your marriage ill by having a prenuptial agreement. But I have a friend whose entire life savings was wiped out looking after her 72-year-old husband. And she had not ring-fenced her finances. I'm saying, save this. Everything we build together in this situation is to joint. But then another one is where you've both got married in your second marriages, so you've both got children from other marriages, and you come together. There's no guarantee. Of course, we're going to pray that everything goes well. You put all your money in this joint thing. You have children. Something happens to you. There's no guarantee that the new lady, he will be married in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. No, that's not true. So you've got to be careful about that. Men treat these things differently. We have a family friend who lost his wife about 2 years ago. Wonderful lady, and he was deeply broken. I mean, he was deeply in love with his wife. And it was such a terrible time. A year later, I saw him, and I was walking up to him, and I was just about to say, oh, how is he coping? How is he coping? I saw this fantastic lady just coming behind him, 100 times better than his old wife. He's forgotten and moved on. Now she's on a major campaign. He had 3 kids. She's on the second one, twins first, another one. Her kids are not having the plan that she had for them because she just didn't have a financial plan. She didn't have an estate plan. She could have put her money aside for her children in her lifetime. So now they are at the mercy of this wonderful lady. She doesn't mean any harm, but she has to have her own kids as well. Okay, so we've got to be a bit wise, because the stories are there. The stories are there. Okay, so please, just note that you do need to look after your children. Sandwich generation, you're caring for expensive children and aging parents. Don't take the burden alone. In my family, we had a family meeting, and we all put money aside to look after my mother's bills. Because otherwise it can be very, very expensive if they have a debilitating illness, a stroke, diabetes, all these things. And it might happen. So you need to set aside some funds and come together as siblings to try to do that. Of course, some siblings will dodge and they'll never do their bit. That will happen in every family. But at least it's better than just you bearing that whole burden. Don't overindulge your children. I've seen people who had billions spoil their children, and the next generation was penniless. I mean, utterly penniless. You'd be surprised how 5 billion naira can just be gone. Because if one generation is not producing, because they're not capable, when you spoil your children, you make them incapable of working hard. So if your child is traveling every few weeks with a business class ticket, 2.5 million, and even if they were working every day, they won't earn 2.5 million if they're starting out of school. They won't. So you've already made it impossible for them for daughters to meet a young, dynamic, fantastic young man. There was a young lady, her parents gave her a BMW 635 for her 21st birthday. She came back tonight. She doesn't go business class. She goes only first class. Only first class. This is a true story. And she came back to Nigeria. She's a super girl. I'm talking about an excellent, outstanding, brilliant young lady. She met this lovely guy. His family are not moneyed, but they're highly respectable and they have background and high standards. They live in Surulere. Her family live in VI. She married him, went with her BMW. He has a Tokumbo car. So she can't go in the Tokumbo car, so they go to church in the BMW. At one point, the car needed servicing. So his Tokumbo is the only car available. She cannot go in that. So her parents sent a gleaming Mercedes. He refused to go in it. Why shouldn't he go in it? He should refuse. He should refuse. But he knew how she was when he married her. You don't. Anyway, then she wanted to go on holiday. So he said, sorry, they can go to Calabar for the carnival, maybe go to Accra. He went in the BM. Exactly, he was going in the BM. He was going in the BM. That's exactly right. That's
and you're able to go in it, then you're just being silly.
So should he not have gone in the BM?
I would think so if he's standing on principles. Let the principles be clear to all. I would think so.
It was her graduation.
No.
But then her parents to now send another car.
So the gift is all right.
The gift was already hers.
No, you're going.
And it was hers before she got married. It was hers before she wasn't married when she got that gift.
Remember that, excuse me, she was gifted the car.
Before she got married.
Before she got married. So as far as he's concerned, it's her car. Okay. It doesn't matter how she got that car, whether she got it from her parents, whether she worked for it, whether she bought the car with her own money. It doesn't even really matter. But it's her car. No, it doesn't, because it's her car and they got into the marriage.
But her parents cannot just send a car to help
her
them.
Her parents cannot send the car. It's so rude for them to do that, knowing that
she can't go in a Tokumbo car.
Then they should meet somewhere. They should meet. But she has to also understand that the guy has feelings.
I know.
It's rude for her parents.
Wait, you haven't heard the rest of it.
Maybe his parents.
I needed
her
to
parents
say that because I need us to look at a lot of things, which, in as much as they sound lovely and nice to hear, are not really going to be practicable in everyday living. Now, if you are accepting of the BMW, then naturally that means you are accepting of the kindness of the parents. In-laws. Now, down the line, you may find them domineering, nasty, or something. Then you now fling back the Benz. I'm not sure that Benz would have been sent only once, because the car in 10 years or 15 years or 5 years,
they have to bring
will
another
not
one.
Be serviced only once.
You haven't heard the rest of the story.
Yes, so I need to hear it.
She wanted to go on holiday. She only goes first, not even business, first class. So he said, look, we can go to Calabar, we can go to Accra. The parents sent 2 first-class tickets for a cruise. So he refused to go. So she went with her parents.
Then you should fling that BM back.
This is a true story, and it is happening all the time.
Let's stand up.
No,
she went with her
parents. She went with her parents. The marriage is on the rocks now. She went with him on the holiday. No, he refused to go on the holiday. They sent 2 first-class tickets for both of them, and he refused to go. So she went with her parents. He should have gone. Huh.
What I think has happened
he should have gone.
No, what I think has happened is there is really nothing wrong in your parents, gifting you.
Sure.
And there's nothing wrong in her parents buying them first-class tickets because they can afford it. But I think what has happened,
no, but because he had said they can't afford.
They can't afford to go, but
yes.
her parents have offered to pay for it. But what I think has happened is that
they would have to give them cash as well, because they can't go to where they were.
And apart from that, before all of this, I think that they've rubbed him off the wrong way. Like Sister Siju had said, they become domineering, her parents, and they are now flogging it in his face, and that's what he doesn't like. That is what I think has happened.
But
because if they came in a nice, if they came
giving and receiving, what's wrong with me?
But so how should a rich girl marry a poor guy with potential? You should marry someone with potential.
Excuse me.
You want to marry somebody with, you want your child to marry somebody with potential.
The lady knew that he was not rich, and she decided to marry him. He knew that she's from a rich home, and they chose to marry.
Sure
she came into that marriage with a BMW.
Yes.
That was her car.
Yes.
He rides a Tokumbo car. That's his car.
Yeah.
If her car has any problem, and she can't go in the Tokumbo, they can go in the Uber, or she can stay at home.
Excuse me.
If they give them two first-class tickets to travel.
Let me tell you why I need to get up. Because we are all hypocrites.
No.
I will tell you why. Well, now, if you're accepting of a BMW, that means you're accepting of all the trappings that wealth brings. Now, listen. If the car needs servicing, when she becomes married to you, the idle man should have got to work to repair that car.
He's not idle.
So if he's not idle. Listen. So, if he's going to stand his ground, then he should stand his ground on the totality of everything.
Is he not going to ask her not to come into that marriage with the car?
You cannot today accept my money and tomorrow say I've become a witch, I'm not good anymore. I will collect the whole of my money back from your hand.
Excuse me. Let's even look at another scenario. If they were gifted a car at their wedding.
At the wedding.
It is their car. It belongs to the two of them. If they got a car as a gift for the wedding. If the car is bad and it cannot, we're not saying that the guy now has no job. We're saying that he couldn't afford.
No, this is a gentleman that give him 5 years with the right spouse, he's going to be flying.
Exactly.
Okay. Was she the wrong spouse?
Sorry?
Was she
the girl is a spoiled brat.
No, she's a superb girl. She's a superb girl. She's just been spoiled.
But
She's just been spoiled.
Is it possible that she can give him a soft landing?
The guy doesn't need a soft landing. She's just spoiled.
It's just
she's a spoiled brat.
No,
you can't say you only travel first class and you're married to me.
Sorry,
I can only afford to take you to Ghana. We go to Ghana. If you don't go to Ghana, you go back home.
Okay. You know what? I needed to wake you all up.
It's a major issue.
I knew that this conversation would wake you up because it sets us thinking on what is right from what is wrong. So if you are not accepting of the BMW, because I've seen other people say they don't want those types of gifts at all.
In their marriage?
Yes, from their in-laws. They want to build their home. So, and the Bible tells us a wise woman builds a home. So if you are going crossing carpet, we did Beyond Borders. So if you are going from your rich side to go and marry a poor side, you better come down to the level you have married. So if you now cross the other way, you better rise up to the level you are married. But really, there's no 2 + 2 makes 4 in all of this. Unless, if you have, what I think is it depends on what situation you find yourself in. I honestly try to believe that there's more to money than all the maths we involve in it. There are emotions sometimes.
Yes.
I don't want to go into question and answer. But then, yes, because what I was going to come up with again was that some women are not able to own property or to have anything, even if they're married to the wealthiest of men.
Yes.
Because it's a form of psychological, emotional abuse.
Yes, it's called financial abuse. You're right.
So they're kept down, and they will never own anything. And even in their death, they will put it in their will. Should you step out of here or try to do anything I do not like,
you will not have anything. Yeah. Okay, it's got us all thinking. It's got us all thinking. But these are some of the issues. And, for those of you in your 50s, 60s, you've got to consider these with your own children. Who are they marrying? It's on shaky ground. No, it's almost over. But it's very sad because the girl, you said she's a spoiled brat. She's a spoiled brat. Her parents have spoiled her. She's an outstanding young lady. She's actually an outstanding young lady. And he is just the perfect guy for any girl. But because of what the parents have done, they have made it impossible for her to cope. So you've got to decide, do you marry someone for potential? You can't live for potential. Do you marry for money? These are all questions that people have to address. But the key thing is that as you raise your own children, don't let that happen. Don't let that happen. You've got, no matter how much money you have, it's tough love. You've got to be deliberate and you've got to say, you cannot afford to spoil them. Things that you can do is making them go out to work. There was a time when my kids were growing up and they were getting a bit spoiled. They'd just call and, send 5,000 to the house, send this amount. So my husband and I decided that our kids had to work. From the age 13, it's not child abuse. Friends' offices, filing, IT. And as soon as they earned their money, we said, okay, go and spend it. Guess what happened? They refused. Children don't spend their own money. They spend yours. They don't spend their money. It's quite shocking. They hold all their money. Okay? Yours is easy come, easy go. But don't deprive them. I know too many 90-year-olds or 80-year-olds who are looking after 50-year-old children. Scary. School fees, paying rent and everything. Okay? I had a family, the man had 4 billion naira that we were managing. And he had 4 children, doctors, lawyers, fantastic degrees. They brought him to the office for me to force him to sign everything over to them because he was building his pastor a house in Ekiti. So they're worried that their inheritance will finish. And I don't know what they did to him, but he came to sign everything over to them. So I was now fighting for him. Okay, let him have this much every month with his wife, holiday, insurance. That's how bad it gets. And the minute they have that money, then they have the fight of their lives, and they'll all be broke. There's a block of flats 3 doors from me, 22 apartments, empty for about over 20 years now. They're fighting. They're fighting. Just give me one apartment. They're fighting. That's what happens because none of them is capable of doing anything, okay? So please, look at what your children. What do you owe your children? You owe your children the best education. No, not the best education in the world. The best education you can afford. The most fancy, expensive school is not necessarily the best for your child. It's not. Okay, so you can have 2 children going to a fantastic school and it's not the same. I've got 2 boys, they're both clever, one is laid back and one is very focused and so on. The laid back one, I mean, I'll get to the school thing and the school will say, Mrs. Akinkugbe. They'll sigh. They'll sigh because he hasn't done his homework, he hasn't done this, he hasn't done that. The other one, everybody wanted him in their class. We had to move this older one from this fantastic school to a crammer where they just do nothing but read. Because if you think you're going to put him in this fancy school, he's not going to make it. He was devastated because he was so happy with the prestige of the school and all that. But he says now that was the best thing that ever happened to him. He was laid back. So if everybody in your street is having their kids in this fabulous fancy school where everybody goes there in a great car and everything, it may not be the one for your child. Be careful. I've adopted 2 schools in Ajegunle. I have never seen more fantastic children and teachers. It's unbelievable. Ajegunle, excellent. They're coming out, they're doing great things, they're getting into top schools, they're focused. So it's not about the school. The greatest part of the education is at home, not in school. Okay? I know a family who are selling their home they live in to keep a 13-year-old in England. Because everybody's going to England at these prices, so they're selling the house that they live in. I mean, it's catastrophic because what's going to happen to them? They should bring her home immediately. But because of this keeping up, it's too embarrassing to have her back. What do you owe them? What you can afford? What do you owe yourself? A comfortable, sustainable retirement. Your retirement needs are more important than any fancy school education for your kids. Don't forget that. Because this burden of 5 million naira per child per annum, come on. That's what some schools are costing now. You have to know, sorry, per term. Oh, 5 million per term in Nigeria. So if I don't even know what you have to be earning to be able to afford that kind of fees. So you've got to be careful, okay? So just watch and don't let that become a ring round your neck. There are great products. The minute you have a baby, start to plan for that education. There's educational insurance, so you pay a premium and it helps you to be able to afford it, okay? Even if your child isn't going to a school that has all these fancy things, extracurricular, you can fill them in at weekends. They can have the piano lessons, sporting things. It doesn't have to be this, I'm just shocked, 15 million per year school. So if you have 3 kids, 45 million. So what is your salary? Amazing. Okay. Teaching them to appreciate the value of money. Don't forget, pocket money, allowances, taking them shopping with you, all those things matter. The reason I got into Monopoly is because the board game really teaches kids how to understand money. It's a great, great game. Insurance, please don't neglect this. We're out of time, so I'll just run through. But your insurance, your property, your car, your assets, your health, your life, you need insurance. You can't afford for it to lapse. And please start to be insured from your 20s, 30s. Because if you develop any condition, asthma or anything that seems minor, it now means that they will never insure you for any disease related to that in future. It's so important. So do ensure that you have insurance for yourself and for your family. And if you have parents that are under 70, there's a fantastic insurance policy called family insurance, which helps with funerals. I know it's not a very nice thing to think about, but some of our funerals are so ridiculous that if you can be insured, 35,000 naira a year will give you 1 million naira for the funeral. Okay, so these are fantastic products that one should think about, especially when you have an extended family and where you are going to be responsible for funerals. Okay? Your health is your wealth. You know, what you do with your body in your 20s, 30s has a direct impact on what's going to happen to you in your 60s, 70s. It's just automatic. So we do have to take it seriously. There are too many people who've spent all their health chasing wealth, only to come back and spend all their wealth trying to buy health. Don't let that be you. It's tragic, because one nasty illness wipes out decades of saving and investing. Your retirement, your pension can never keep you. So you must keep putting your RSA money in there and your PFA, but it can never help you. It's just one of your savings pots. You need property, you need stock, you need bonds, you need business interests. That's where it's going to come from. And as I said before, don't depend on your children. They may be in New Zealand or Australia, and they may, it's just so important that you can look after yourself. Your estate, we've talked about that as well. You need to have a will, joint accounts. You need to have something that you can rely on if something happens to you. How many people have a will here? A few of you, good. Please, if you have children, you owe it to yourself and your loved ones to protect them with a will, company structures, life insurance, just something that if anything happens to you, they aren't totally in misery. Because of our extended family system, if you don't have an estate plan, other people that you didn't intend can come and take all the property. And customary law in Nigeria sometimes is upheld. So some parts of the country, eldest son takes all. Sometimes it's not enforced, sometimes it is. So don't take these things lightly. If somebody has a main wife and has other mistresses and other children, all those things matter, which is why you need to ring fence your own. The greatest thing you can do with your money is to try to do things for others. Build philanthropy into your financial plan. It's important. What touches your heart? What would you like to do that can change lives? Be proactive and do something about it. Who has seen this Victor on CNN? Makes me want to cry every day. Have you seen him? He came back from Libya. Shocking, isn't it? Imagine how many people like there are hundreds of thousands of people that have no hope at all. What can you do in your sphere of influence? Even if you don't have money, it's about your talent, your time. What can you do to have an impact? She extends her hand to the poor and stretches out her hands to the needy, something that we have to do. And finally, 4th key things to remember: planning, saving, investing, and giving. And in the final analysis, what really matters? Nigeria, to me, is the most ostentatious, materialistic society I have ever come across. I don't know if you agree with me. I mean, it's staggering. Anywhere in the world. I mean, Indians are extravagant, right? But not the way we are. What does it all matter? It doesn't matter. Money doesn't really matter in the final analysis. It's not the most important thing. I've come across people with incredible wealth. That is not what makes people happy. It's about relationships. It's about adding value to people's lives. Relationship with your spouse, your partner, your siblings, your parents, and your relationship with God. Thank you for listening to me.
Nimi, thank you very much.
We're really running behind time, but we did say that we'll take a few questions. So I think this was very interesting. I think we've all taken a lot. There's a lot of value added. But we're going to take 3 questions. Let's see how we go. We take 3 questions. It's 2:30, and we are running behind time. Is there a rolling mic?
Okay. Sorry.
This is not a question. It's just to request that you please come back on a Saturday or a Sunday for our men to listen and for our daughters to be present. Our children, not only the daughters, for our children. Fantastic.
I would love to. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Brilliant talk. I'm back at the leadership conference. One of the questions that people asked, well, someone asked, was where you have a husband who's not working. He's alive and well, but not working. And we kept joking. When you said you're the primary breadwinner. We said the only breadwinner. Because a lot of women are the only breadwinner. Yeah. So the question really is, particularly for many of these women, and they say there's a limited, I only get so much, and I'm looking after everybody. So how do you prioritize in that case?
It's a very, very difficult one, because at the same time, you're still expected as an African woman, you are submissive as a African Christian woman. So you still have to give the respect. So number one, I will say, is incredible prayer. You need to pray, because otherwise you will lose respect for the man, and that will make it impossible for you to continue. And then you've got to be saving and investing aggressively. You may have to be the one to find him a job. So sometimes he may not be even capable of finding a job himself. So you have to use your network and try to find something for him to be doing, to just get out of the house. Maybe he has a talent that he can't monetize it, but you have to look for a way to do that. This is happening in families across Nigeria. So don't think you're alone in this. You've got to educate those children. You have to downsize. You have to save and invest aggressively. The children have got to know the truth. A lot of the time, women are trying to cover things up and make it look like daddy is doing something. They have to grow up quickly. So the kids, too, will have to be doing holiday jobs to help out and so on. But you cannot afford to now be so overwhelmed that it affects your health. That's the next thing. High blood pressure, and then the woman is ill, and so on. Okay, so don't neglect insurance. You need it more than ever. You do have to try and help your husband get something to do, something, part-time, something. Beg people to help employ him. But you're the only breadwinner. You've got to save, invest aggressively, and cut things down. The kids cannot go to this dream school that you planned before. They can't. The pressure will be too much on you. So you have to downsize. Okay?
Please, I want to ask a question. How can I save in 20,000? How can I have an income to buy a share or a land from that?
Sorry, when you have what, sorry?
Like 20,000 salary.
20,000 salary?
Yes, how can I save?
Okay, you have to decide how much you can afford to set aside. I know 20,000 is going to go so fast, but I really believe that if you cannot save out of 20,000, even when you get 20 million, you won't save. It's about saving just 2,000. Just start. 1,000. Just start. It adds up. It adds up. You have to just start somewhere. But if you keep thinking, oh, I must wait till I earn 50,000 or 100, you will never save. There are people that have 1 billion naira. They don't save. They're in debt. So just start. It's great you're earning. You also have to look for ways to earn additional income. Sometimes you'll work over time. Sometimes if you have a skill, maybe you're good at cooking or catering, maybe you can earn a bit more sometimes. Look at ways of earning more. Okay?
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
Sorry, you mentioned about next of kin when our husband is not, one time ago I was looking at my husband, whatever, and I saw that I wasn't the next of kin. No problem. We don't even have money yet, whereby I will be afraid.
No, what do you mean no problem?
Not only, no money yet, and another thing was I was thinking maybe
did you ask him? Did you ask him? Or
yes. I kept it back and I asked him.
Okay.
So later he told me he has changed it. I don't even mind. That's not the problem. No children and no children yet. And we don't even have money. So I thought maybe that's not even the problem. But the problem now is that since he's not using me as his next of kin, who should I use as my next of kin? Because
okay, I don't know.
Praise the Lord, I'm still talking. Praise the Lord. Please, there is this form I was filling, bank form. So when I get to next of kin of 18, I just folded it and I put it at home and the person was asking me the form. The next of kin, it's not that I don't trust him. It's not that we don't trust each other, but for him not to use me, there might be a reason why it's not.
No, but was it? Sorry.
Then there's a problem.
There's a problem. Sorry.
She said no problem. Yes. There's a problem.
Maybe because we don't have children yet, ma.
No, but you're going to have children.
There's no even money too. Whereby I will be afraid that when he get money. So the question now is, if I want to write, who should I use as my next of kin? Yes, I use my brother, my immediate younger brother. He's getting married next month. So he's getting married next month. So is it that I should change it to who?
So when he gets married, he's going to make his wife next of kin, and all your property will go for his wife.
Yes, that's what. So since my husband is not making me his next of kin, it's like I should not also.
I think let me answer this question. I think that marriage has problems. It's obvious you have problems. And all that is happening, are you listening? All that is happening is that you are getting bitter. There's already resentment growing. And if you don't address it fast, when the money finally comes and the children come, you will not be the next of kin, then there will be problem. So stop saying no problem. There's a problem. A major problem. I have this question to ask you because I know they are all pretending. This is my question. I'm going back to the story of the Benz and the BM. They are all lying. They all want their children to marry into wealthy homes. Ask them. The ones that don't want, maybe they are already rich. But we learned many years ago that powers or monarchies were consolidated by marrying into bigger monarchies. So, my question is this. Should the children marry only people in the same level as they are financially? Or can they marry into wealthier homes? You know, you were talking about, what was that clause? What is that clause you give when you're over 60? Oh,
prenuptial agreement. Okay.
So,
prenuptial agreement. Yeah.
I was also coming to that.
Yeah.
If at 60 also you want to marry as a Nigerian woman, can you actually bring out a prenup? You that they are finally just about to marry at 60. Yeah. Why are you laughing at it, Osi? Like, until not, you bring out a prenuptial agreement. Stand up. I thought you said that wasn't important before. We need a mic. We need a mic. Can we have another mic, please? Don't, look, we like to say it as it is. Should that child, first of all, the first question, should the man who married a rich girl, Should they have accepted the BMW in the first place?
Okay. She came with that.
Okay.
Yes.
But after that, he should not accept any other gifts. Is that what we are agreed
Any unreasonable gift?
Is that no?
Unreasonable gift. A first-class ticket is unreasonable.
No, by the standard of the poor.
That's what they're accustomed to.
No.
A first class is unreasonable by the standard of the poor.
No.
But by the standard of the rich, they can even get a private jet.
Exactly.
That is meddling in their affairs.
Please, I need a mic.
Maybe they have a
I want us to go away with something.
They are meddling.
I don't want us to go away, clap and say we felt, oh, come back. This message is brilliant for our children.
Yes.
We need to have, she'll be with us behind closed doors.
She has to come back.
That is where we need you. They need to hear this message before starting off. But for these old ones, come. Because they end up being wicked mother-in-laws, these ones.
Good afternoon, ladies. I just want to chip in to what our sister said. I don't believe it's unreasonable. If the man has an issue, then he should marry his class. If you're going for a lower class, you should be ready to take the good, the bad, the ugly. Because as far as I'm concerned, marrying somebody who's in not your class, exactly, she's not in your class. You should be ready to take whatever the parents have brought, because she's already used to that lifestyle. You going into that marriage, you should be ready to take it.
Can I respond to you, please? Yes. The Bible says two come together and they become one. The girl came into that marriage with her car. That is her car, not her father's car or her mother's car. If the car has a problem and the guy cannot fix it, she would make do with whatever he can provide at that time. She married him because she saw that he had prospects. It was not going, if you allow the parents to keep sending cars, sending tickets, then they are in control of that marriage. The man should be in control of his home, his wife, and everything that goes on in there. They should not meddle. I said that ticket was an unreasonable gift. If they were going to assist that man to make money, to be able to better the life of their daughter, that is good. They can introduce him to business that could make him money. They are not to give him money.
I totally agree with you on that one. But what I am saying is, the parents of that girl have brought her up to that standard. And from where the man is starting, he's supposed to carry on from where that man has.
She should have gone to marry somebody of her standard. And leave the poor boy alone. She has no standard. She's a spoiled brat.
We are seeing the brands of mothers-in-laws that we would have. Do you know, funnily enough, that girl will be a disappointment to our own parents.
Yes.
By marrying below
her standards.
Stand up.
Nobody said
stand up.
Hello.
No, please stand.
Hello.
Please, just a second. Pedigree and money are different. This is an excellent family. They just are not moneyed.
Yes.
Okay, so it wasn't about.
Yes. See, hello. As much as I want to make my point.
That's true.
As much as I agree that the parents of the girl could assist the boy in establishing him with a viable business, but if the parents decided to give the couple a ticket, both of them, they didn't restrict it to their daughter. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think anything wrong with it at all. The boy probably has a complex. Yes. Because, yes, he does. He does. He has a complex.
No, but there's
the girl has been used to that lifestyle. He knew who she was when he married her. He cannot reduce her
to a lower level. I don't agree.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
Can I, hello?
My sisters, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Neo, I believe that marriage was patched from the beginning, because that rich brat cannot find a husband.
No.
So that's why they settle for that boy. Yeah, that innocent boy.
Praise
that
the
hardworking
Lord.
boy.
Hello. Praise the Lord.
Yes.
Okay, let's close.
Please. Has anybody bothered to think about the boy's ego, his feelings? How can you be a man? You have your wife, and the mother keeps sending all sorts of things. They are reducing the boy as well. Have you thought about that? He's the man. He's the husband. He's the head of his family.
And I agree with you. And apart from that, when he said, I don't want to use this ticket, they should have withdrawn the ticket.
Exactly. Okay, now.
But they went with her. They went with her.
The fun is nice.
They traveled with her.
The fun we've had.
They still went. She went with her parents.
Okay. On that, who wants to talk?
Sorry,
on
can
that
I say
topic,
something?
let's close it.
Sorry,
you know why
just
we
one
ask?
comment.
You know why I like to hear people speak? I loved that point because, yes.
Praise the Lord.
Sorry, can I just say something? I'm a daughter of the house. We've heard all the mummies.
Where's the daughter?
Here.
We love you. Please stand up.
I'm here. Here.
Come forward. The message is for you.
Okay, I've been married for 6 years. I came to Nigeria for the first time when I was around 24. And it's a similar story, comfortable pedigree and all of that. My mom kept sending things to make me comfortable coming to Nigeria for the first time. Cars, her house, all that kind of thing. My husband, at the time we were just dating, he was still living with his parents. So when we got married, he said, look, we can't stay in your mom's house. We can't drive her cars. It's up to you. And the way I see it, I love my mother dearly, but anything can happen to her, and I could be doing the things that she wants just to make me happy. And then at the end of the day, I don't have a marriage left. So I saw it like I'm going into a marriage, and me and him are together. We understand each other. I believe he has potential. And I moved into his parents' house all the way in Ogba. And I was going to work every single day from Ogba all the way to Lekki and back. And this was a very new experience for me. Now we live in Lekki. Now we don't need her. It's not about Lekki or it's not about island or mainland. It's about the fact that I went into this. I decided to go into this marriage. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make was that if I continued, and at a point, my parents didn't respect my husband because he was trying to help, he was trying to make me happy and comfortable. So it got to a point where there was always this friction. My people didn't respect him because he was trying to make me comfortable and use the cars and, use her house. But now it's a different story. There's respect, and he's doing his own thing, making his own money, and that's 6 years later. So, yeah. I just wanted to say that.
Amen. Any other contribution? One more, last one.
Praise thy Lord. Hallelujah. Thy Lord is good. I want to thank our teacher today for this wonderful topic you are talking about. But one question I want to ask is, if a civil servant's son is married to a president's daughter, and then after wedding, they gave them 36 cars, tear rubber, big cars. Should the boy reject those cars? Or he should take those cars home, knowing that these cars are coming from this girl's family?
Okay. Let's go.
And then secondly,
I'm going to answer you. My thinking is this. When we talk about everything in life, whether money, or marriage, or what was the thing she was talking about? Next of kin. Everything goes back to the Maker, to God. You must always go back to the beginning. It was God that made David king instead of Jonathan. So it's possible that the king can become nothing, and the nothing can become a king. I needed you to answer those questions truthfully, because if we don't answer them and we come across such a thing, we would only be answering from the flesh as opposed to answering from the spirit. And also, when we go back to the very source, there's nothing wrong in accepting gifts that are also given. There's nothing wrong. It does not take from you. It does not, it could add a bit, but it does not really take away from you. But there's something wrong when a wise woman does not build her home. So you need to always engage yourself in the word of God. If your child wants to marry this daughter of a king, it's okay. It's okay. When she gets into the marriage, your prayer is that she'll be wise and she will build her home. Sometimes we may need a Jonathan, which was part of what I was going to teach today or any other time, to let us, to be the stepping stone for us to become kings. Naomi gave to Ruth a Boaz. He was rich. So please, don't ever be biased. Open your mind to whatever God is going to bring your way. But say, all things will work together for my good. Because I stand on the word of God. So don't say they are controlling my son. They haven't even given you BMW. And I can see you already jumping up and say, they're not controlling. So please, let us as Christian women keep our hearts and minds opened. And we thank God for the teaching. We thank God for the prenuptial. I was hoping you would have many more questions to ask her. Time, so we are going. She will come back again. And please be ready to ask many, many more questions. I can see the excitement. We love you. We thank you.
Can I tell you one quick story?
Yes.
One quick one. I just got this letter.
We've initiated that into Handmaidens.
I don't know how to reply. This young lady, I was on radio and I was saying a lot of young ladies are selling their bodies on campus to rich men. So one lady wrote in and said, I have a Mr. Moneybags. I'm 21. I'm in level 300. He pays my parents' rent. He's finishing their house that was abandoned for 5 years, and he's educating my 2 siblings. Should I break? And he gives me 200,000 a month pocket money. Should I break up with him? On that note,
what was the answer?
I'm asking you. What is the answer?
She's asking you, Handmaidens.
Should he break?
She knows. Should she?
Oh, sorry.
Why is the table different?
Sorry, he's married.
Why is it different for the woman marrying the rich man?
He's married. She said he's married. Yes, he's married.
Ah, she has to. What is the answer?
He's a married man. He's married.
He's a married man.
Praise the Lord. It sounded very nice, and I was almost going to say she should not. But when you now said he's married,
yes.
She has to.
Yeah.
If she's a Christian woman, and she fears the Lord,
she's already on this level. Her parents' property is being built.
It does not matter. She has to do what God says. She's robbing the wife, the legal wife. It's dangerous. And punishment, she's playing with hell.
Doing
hellfire.
If she was born again, she would not have been in the relationship in the first place. If you tell her no now, it's the mother and the father who will say, no, my daughter, you must marry this man.
Exactly. And please, let us also know that A Nigerian married man under the Monogamous Act, let them not deceive you that they are married or they are taking another wife. There's nothing like another wife. Please. So the girl will probably marry him. She can't even marry him. Unless the wife divorces him.
He's not planning to marry her. She doesn't want to marry him. But he put her in an apartment. She has 200,000. He's finishing the property. And he's paying their rent. And he's educating her.
She had better go back to where she started from. Or what do you think?
So her siblings will leave school. Her parents' property will stop. She will leave the apartment. And she will leave
the Lord. Praise the Lord. I think the first problem, I believe, is in her family setup.
For them to even have let that happen.
Why should I be the one to build my father a house? I'm sorry if he didn't build a house in his lifetime. Too bad. He will die in a rented house and we will all live in the rented house together. I do not believe that you have to sell your body or compromise your standards. The truth is, people do not have family values. A girl in 300 level that you are supposed to be paying her fees is building you a house, and you did not call your daughter and say, how are you making this money? Are you prostituting or are you selling drugs? I believe that the family background is wrong. So first and foremost, she has no local standard even where she is. Because if that man should catch her with her young boyfriend, that's the end of that relationship. And she's going to go from one man to the other. At the end of the day, she's sowing a seed that she's going to reap later on in life. Either she can't have children or she will be having bad relationships because no man can meet up to her level.
Is really doing you somehow.
No man can meet up to that level. Even this rich man or the one with potential, she can't meet him because he will never be able to give her 200,000. How much is his salary as a young graduate?
Where were you?
He will be getting that 200,000 maximum.
Okay. So now, you said you watched a documentary or something on CNN. And what did the government say about the people in the state? Did you remember what they said?
What the government said, they said that there's a problem in that state. I didn't understand what they said, that there's a cultural issue.
Yes.
For generations, they've been traveling like this. I didn't know what they meant.
Exactly. There. So there's some families, even as we are seated here, the ones that are saying yes are just not talking. They are just quiet because they don't see anything wrong. There are women amongst us seated right here that are saying, let them speak. They are just talking their own. There's absolutely nothing wrong. Maybe it's because they have that they are shouting and jumping up. They're the ones shouting. Maybe it's their kind of husbands or something they can want to take. So, but there are people who don't actually see anything wrong in prostitution or in prostituting themselves because we refuse to call it, label a thing what it is called. It is prostitution. And now, the only thing which has brought it out to the world stage is the sales of our people in Libya. So we need to go back as women to examine what exactly are we standing on? What is the moral platform on which we as a people and as a nation stand on? They're selling our people in Libya and nobody's saying anything because we don't care, we don't see anything wrong. If there was no CNN documentary, we will never say anything. So to some people, it's all right for your daughter to date a married man and bring money home and build you a house. They think it's all right. But as Christians, we say, no, it's not all right. Please don't do it. And I'm not closing for you. You are going to close. Let me tell you something. You cannot serve God and mammon. They said, mammon is the Greek word for money. The Aramaic word for money is mammon. So you cannot serve God and hope to go to heaven and be prostituting your body. You are going to school. How many levels?
300.
How many parents? How many houses? You will never make it to heaven. We need to be able to tell this nation that we need to re-examine the platform on which we live. My dear sister, we agree with you. Why I agree with you, Billy, is because you have preached two Christian principles: godliness and contentment is great gain. And you're not preaching it as a preacher. You're telling us that we just need to learn to live within our means. And it is a message, not only for the group of women here, it is a message for our nation. That we need to address and have a balance on how we live. You will close, you will share the prayer, you will share the grace, and you will give us a blessing and a date you will come back. Yemika, Titi, Ronke, Women in Leadership series, well done.
Let us pray. Dear Lord our Father, we thank you so much for this very special time that we've shared. We thank you for raising up these women and for all that you do for us to help us stand in our families, the smallest unit of society. We ask that every word that I uttered today came from you. We ask that you bless us all. Help us to take the lessons that you want us to take and to apply them in our homes, with our spouses, with our children, with our families. And we ask that we will use everything that we earn to the furtherance of your kingdom here on earth. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.